Have you ever wondered what hell is really like? Is it a fiery pit of eternal torment, a cold, dark abyss, or something else entirely? The idea of hell has captivated and terrified humanity for centuries, appearing in countless stories, paintings, and films. But where do these images come from? Today, we're going on a journey through different cultures and religions to explore their fascinating and often frightening descriptions of the underworld. We'll look at the famous Christian vision of fire and brimstone, the complex and layered hells of Buddhism, the Islamic concept of Jahannam, and even the shadowy realms of ancient Greek and Norse mythology. This isn't just about spooky stories, it's about understanding the deep-seated human need for justice, morality, and meaning. What do these different visions of hell tell us about the societies that created them, and what can they teach us about our own modern ideas of right and wrong? Let's find out. First, let us talk about the image of hell that is probably most familiar to many of us in the Western world, the Christian concept. When you think of hell, you probably picture flames, demons with pitchforks, and endless suffering. This imagery is powerfully etched into our collective consciousness, largely thanks to epic poems like Dante Alighieri's Inferno. In Dante's vision, hell is a meticulously organized, cone-shaped pit with 9 distinct circles, each one punishing a specific type of sin. The further down you go, the worse the sin and the more horrific the punishment. The lustful are blown about by restless winds, the gluttonous lie in a foul, icy slush, and at the very bottom, in a frozen lake, Satan himself is trapped, chewing on the greatest traitors in history. But Dante's Inferno was a work of literature, a poetic interpretation. The Bible itself is actually less specific than you might think. The Old Testament talks about a place called Sheol, a shadowy realm of the dead, more like a gloomy, silent pit where everyone, good or bad, goes after death. It's a place of quiet and darkness, not necessarily of active torment. The New Testament introduces more explicit ideas of punishment. Jesus speaks of Gehenna, which was a real physical location, a valley outside Jerusalem where trash was burned and, in ancient times, child sacrifices were made. This real-world image of a constantly burning, foul-smelling garbage dump became a powerful metaphor for a place of spiritual ruin and punishment after death. Words like unquenchable fire and weeping and gnashing of teeth are used to describe the fate of the wicked, solidifying this vision of a fiery, agonizing hell. Over the centuries, theologians and artists expanded on these biblical hints, leading to the vivid, terrifying hellscapes we recognize today. Now, let's travel east and explore the Buddhist concept of the underworld, which is incredibly different and complex. In Buddhism, hell, or Naraka, is not an eternal destination. It's more like a very, very long and unpleasant rehabilitation center. The core idea is karma. Your actions in this life determine your rebirth, and if you've accumulated a lot of negative karma, you might be reborn in one of the many hell realms. But here's the key, it's not forever. Once your bad karma is worked off through immense suffering, you can be reborn into a better realm, with another chance to achieve enlightenment. There isn't just one Buddhist hell, there are many. The system is incredibly detailed, often described as having 8 hot hells and 8 cold hells, each with numerous sub-hells. The punishments are directly related to the sins committed. For example, someone who caused division through slander might find themselves in a hell where their tongue is plowed over by demons. Liars might have their tongues stretched and pierced. The descriptions are graphic and designed to be a strong deterrent against unethical behavior. The cold hells are just as terrifying, describing realms so frigid that beings freeze, crack open like flowers, and then reform only to freeze again. The purpose of these vivid descriptions isn't just to scare people, it's to illustrate the natural consequences of harmful actions and to encourage compassion, mindfulness, and ethical living. It's a system of cosmic justice, but one that always contains the possibility of redemption. Next, let's turn to Islam and its conception of hell, known as Jahannam. Like the Christian hell, Jahannam is a place of intense punishment for those who have rejected God, disbelieved, or committed grave sins. The Quran provides many vivid descriptions of its nature. It is often depicted as an immense, roaring fire with 7 gates, each gate designated for a specific class of sinners. The fuel for this fire is said to be men and stones, emphasizing its supernatural and terrifying intensity. The suffering in Jahannam is described in great detail. The inhabitants will have garments of fire, boiling water poured over their heads, and their skin will be burned off, only to be replaced with new skin so they can experience the pain again and again. They will be given a foul food from a thorny tree called zakum that will burn in their stomachs like molten brass, and they will drink boiling, foul-smelling water that will not quench their thirst. These descriptions are not just physical, they're also deeply psychological. The inhabitants of Jahannam feel immense regret, despair, and separation from God's mercy, which is considered the ultimate punishment. However, similar to some Buddhist ideas, for Muslims who have committed sins but still hold belief in God, Jahannam is seen by many scholars as a temporary place of purification before they can eventually enter paradise, or Jannah. For eternal disbelief, however, the punishment is described as everlasting. But what about the ancient civilizations? Long before these major world religions took their modern form, cultures had their own ideas about the afterlife. Take the ancient Greeks. Their underworld was known as Hades, named after its ruler, the brother of Zeus and Poseidon. Hades wasn't necessarily a place of punishment for everyone. It was primarily the realm of the dead, a dim, shadowy place where the shades or spirits of the deceased wandered aimlessly. It was a gloomy, joyless existence, a pale imitation of life on earth. However, within Hades, there were specific regions. The asphodel meadows were for ordinary souls, a neutral land of ghostly existence. For heroes and the virtuous, there were the Elysian Fields, or Elysium, a paradise of eternal spring and bliss. And then there was Tartarus. Tartarus was the deep abyss, as far below Hades as the earth is below the sky. This was the true prison of the ancient Greek world. It was originally where Zeus imprisoned his enemies, the Titans. Later it became known as the place of punishment for mortals who committed truly heinous crimes against the gods, like Tantalus, who was cursed with eternal thirst and hunger, or Sisyphus, forever doomed to push a boulder up a hill only to have it roll back down. So, for the Greeks, the underworld was a complex place with different destinations based on your life and deeds. Let's head north to the world of the Vikings and Norse mythology. Their concept of the afterlife was also divided. Warriors who died bravely in battle were chosen by the Valkyries to go to Valhalla, Odin's majestic hall, where they would feast and fight until the final battle of Ragnarok. This was the most desirable afterlife. But what about everyone else? Most people who died of sickness or old age went to a realm called Hell, or sometimes Helheim. This realm was ruled by a goddess of the same name, Hel, who was a daughter of the trickster god Loki. She was depicted as having a half-living, half-dead appearance. Her realm, Helheim, was not a fiery pit of torture like the Christian hell. Instead, it was described as a cold, dark, and misty place located at the very bottom of the Norse cosmos. It was a bleak and gloomy existence, but not necessarily one of active punishment for most of its inhabitants. It was simply the place where the non-heroic dead went. However, within Helheim, there was a specific shore called Nastrand, or Corpse Shore. This was a hall woven from snakes whose heads dripped venom onto the murderers, adulterers, and oath-breakers below. So even in the cold, dark world of the Vikings, there was a specific place reserved for punishing the wicked, showing that the idea of post-mortem justice is a deeply rooted human concept. So from the fiery pits of Dante's Inferno and the Quran's Jahannam, to the complex karmic realms of Buddhism and the shadowy underworlds of the Greeks and Norse, we see an incredible diversity in how humanity has imagined what happens after we die. Yet, beneath all these differences, a common thread emerges: the idea that our actions in this life have consequences in the next. These visions of hell, whether temporary or eternal, fiery or frozen, serve as powerful moral compasses. They are reflections of what a culture values and what it fears most: injustice, chaos, and meaninglessness. They are stark reminders to live a life of purpose, kindness, and integrity. While the images may be terrifying, the underlying message is often one of hope: the hope for justice, the chance for redemption, and the belief that how we live our lives truly matters. What do you think? Which version of hell do you find the most interesting or frightening? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this journey into the underworld, don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more deep dives into history, mythology, and religion. Thanks for watching.